What's up everyone and welcome to Vlog O'Clock review / discussion of The Promised Neverland Season 2 Episode 3. Alright, so I gotta say, I keep trying to do these and not really talk about spoilers for the first little bit, but honestly I don't know how to talk about this show without really talking about spoilers other than just you should go watch it, it's a really good story. So here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna skip that whole beginning part where I go, it's really good, you should watch it, it's really awesome, and just skip right to the part where I talk about this episode. So that's your warning. This episode was a little disappointing at first, I gotta say. I know I've been saying how I like the pacing and how it's slower and it's still kind of trying to show you how the kids are learning and surviving in this world, and that's been great because the first episode was pretty fast paced. The second episode was really slowed down to show you how the kids were learning to survive in the world and how Sunju and Mujika were helping them. And then this episode, they kind of are taking them to where they're gonna part ways, and that was okay because it kind of picked up right where the last episode left off. We learned that they were there for about 6 days learning how to survive and how to feed themselves and fend for themselves, and that's great. We know how long they were there. But then the episode doesn't really do much. They walk through the wilderness, they get to where they're supposed to be, there's nothing there, and then Ray opens back up the map on the pen and he can finally figure out how to unlock the next step, because I guess it's GPS locked is the way they said it, so they couldn't read the next step till they got there, which I guess makes sense if you're worried about someone following them and being able to track them. You don't want them to know everything going on, just so they kind of broke it up as much as they could. I think the most interesting thing we got out of this was that Sunju, who says that doesn't eat kids or doesn't eat humans for religious reasons, after he lets them go has this kind of weird smile going on. So Mujika's hey, what's up? You're not gonna eat them? He's oh no, he's talking about how smart they are and how good their brains are, and they're gonna go and inhabit the world, and the humans will be natural and wild again. And then he says, with just this really menacing smile with all the teeth showing, so he looks like the other demons now, that the doctrine only doesn't let them, it doesn't have a problem with them hunting and eating humans. His problem is that they're not hunting them and they're not wild and free. So yeah, there's the twist. We were all wondering what his deal was. Mujika seems to be a lot more strict on the not eating humans, it seems, so we'll see what happens there. But as expected, there was some sort of weird thing going on with the demons helping them, and it turns out it's because he wants to hunt again and not just be hand-fed humans. So I guess some of them are okay with eating humans if they're wild, but not if they're farmed. So that's going to introduce a whole new interesting thing going on there. But like I said, as for the children, I just kind of feel it doesn't go anywhere. They get to the next spot, they decode the next message, it tells them there's this underground area. They start looking for it, the floor opens up, and there's a big top that they open, and they go inside, and they just kind of walk around to check out all the areas down there. And I gotta say, this episode is one of those ones where you're watching, and you're kind of okay, we've had 2 slow episodes in a row. I'm kind of ready for the pacing to start picking back up again, because the first season, while it was kind of more of a game of chess, it felt very fast paced because you were trying to figure out what was going on and the kids were trying to figure out what was going on, and this episode just felt slow. But it redeemed itself right at the end, because when you're okay, this is gonna be a slow season, I don't like it, right at the end, can't remember the other guy's name, it's the one who's always with Gilda. Anyways, comes and gets Ray and Emma, takes them to a door that has a spot for the pen. And meanwhile, some of the other kids have found this door that's open, and they're looking at it, and so it kind of cuts back and forth between Emma and Ray and them opening this door and going in it, and this other group of kids walking into what they have this look of shock kind of like almost like terror. And so it cuts back and forth between them, which was an interesting thing because you're thinking like, are they going to run into each other in this room? Is one of them going to get captured? What's going on? So Emma and Ray and those with them walk into a room with a payphone on the wall. And it starts ringing. Then it cuts back to the other group. And this is really, I think, the one that really got me like, oh man, I want to know what's going on again now. Is they walk into this room, there's like bunk beds, and like it looks like people were kind of kept there as prisoners. And there's like scratch marks on the wall, and they're like, what is this? And the camera turns, and the wall just says help on it. And it's like scratched into the wall. And then it cuts back to Emma, who answers the phone, and she doesn't say anything, she just picks it up. And on the other end of the phone, the person says, hello, this is William Minerva, and then the episode ends. And that's when I was like, okay, they got me hooked again, because this episode really kind of felt like it wasn't going anywhere. Like they're obviously building up to something, but what was it? And then the hook comes and gets you, and you're back in, and you're just like, I want to know what happens, hurry up and be next week. So that's what it was. Otherwise, I thought the animation, and I guess some of it's like CGI is what I've been reading. I thought it all looked really good still. I don't have any complaints with that. I know some people have been a little upset with how much CGI there is versus just like hand-drawn or whatever. That doesn't bother me. I think it looks fine, but then again, I'm not exactly the most picky about that as long as it's done well. I don't really have much of a preference versus the hand-drawn versus CGI thing. I think they can both be done well, and as long as whatever's happening is being done well, I'm okay with it. But you know, there's some people who really like that hand-drawn classic look, and there's a lot other people who want that CGI really animated and, you know, look. And I like them both, so even if this is like some weird mixture of them, I'm okay with that. Now is the part that is always hard for me, is how would I rank this episode? I've been doing a lot of review videos on various channels over the years, and I always jump around on how I score things and why. And I just can never land on a system that I feel really represents the way I feel about movies and shows and video games and whatnot. So I'm just gonna stick with my worth your time or not worth your time. I say worth your time, so you should go check it out if you haven't, or if you are, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Again, if you're gonna talk spoilers, I don't care, but you know, maybe mark it for the person who's reading it so they can skip over them if they want. But I imagine most people watching this have probably already seen it and just want to know what other people think, or maybe get some additional input on things they may have missed. And so there it is. That's what I thought of The Promised Neverland Season 2, Episode 3. I'll be back next week to talk about the next episode and maybe have something interesting to say as far as the story other than just my thoughts on it. But anyways, thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you later. Peace!